Jeremy. We're talking today about belief and how belief drives our behaviors and how our behaviors drive our results. You're a big disciplinarian, consistent, hardworking, day-to-day grind type of person who, does a lot of the same positive things on a day-to-day basis. And being a professional, I think the difference between a professional and an amateur is consistency. And you displayed that throughout your career. You've obviously played a professional sport, not an easy thing to do. You're now doing a lot of different things with your business and optimal self and coaching and everything. So you're the right guy to talk about this, man. So thanks for coming again, buddy.
Buddy, I look forward to it every time, man. Every time I get that text message from you or, Ashley, and let's get into real closers, I get excited because I know the people in this group are driven and humble and they want better results. They're always looking for that edge. They're always pushing, pushing the edges of our own potential is really what it comes down to. And to be an entrepreneur, to be a business owner, to be in this real estate industry, you've got to push those edges of potential. You've got to constantly be challenging yourself, getting out of your comfort zone, doing things that you not necessarily would do so that you can have the success that you want, right? We have to do the things that others aren't willing to do so that we can have the things that others aren't willing or aren't going to get. But in this position that we're here today and talking about belief, that I think it's very important for the viewers and for people to understand is that belief is what drives our behavior, and then behavior is what drives our results. Now, it's not the other way around. People sometimes think that, once I have some results, then I'm going to believe in myself more, or I'm going to do more, right? My behaviors will change. But that's not true because you're never going to get to the result, right? John Maxwell talks about this a lot in his leadership stuff, as he says, the biggest gap between successful people and unsuccessful people are their choices. But we make choices based on what we believe in ourselves. So if you believe, right, Henry Ford said, if you believe you can or you can't, you're right. Which is what we want to talk about, which is what I want people to understand today, is that we've got to create that inner belief. So that, because when you believe in something, when you believe that you are capable of it, when you believe that that task or that item is going to get you the result that you want, the behavior naturally follows. Then it's very natural for the behavior to follow when the belief is there. It's very hard when it's the other way around. When you're trying to force a behavior. And as the behaviors, as you believe it, and the behaviors get more and more and more and you're doing them, then they become this funny word, habits, right? The truth of that is they can take us down both roads. They can be really good habits or really bad habits. And so I think something very important to ask people today, right now, and something that they can take from this little conversation between you and I is this. If I told you, if we could go back to, I don't know what the date was, somewhere around March 15th, 18th, 19th, somewhere in that neighborhood, right? When they said, shelter in place, there's this COVID-19, holy cow, we got to stop the current way. So it doesn't really matter what you believe. I don't want to get into any of that. What I am saying, though, is if I could take you right now and I could bring you all the way back to that date, and we knew everything that we know now on May the 20th, what would you do different? What would you do different? Because now we have some data. Now we have some time. But then I asked the same question. Well, why wouldn't I do that from the beginning? I knew that we didn't know what was going to happen. Certain areas you could show houses, you couldn't show houses, right? So real estate was essential. It wasn't essential. Like there was all these different areas, and the people all over the world are that are watching this now. But let's ask it from a personal perspective really fast. What would you do different? And now, okay, now let's write that down. What would you change? And you and I could do the same thing. I do reflection all the time. And then I look at the things that I need to change or that I would change. Then I categorize them, right? What's hypercritical? What needs to be changed right this second? That's the number that becomes, it's hypercritical. That I have to do right now. And now here's the truth. There's a quote by John Maxwell. It says, though no one can go back and make a brand new start, anyone can start from now and make a brand new ending. So you have the power right now to change your life forever by the belief in yourself to change, so that the behavior changes, so then you can have anything you want in the world. You can have this result that you want. But it starts with right now. And this is a great time to reflect, because we're at a crossroads, right? We've been through this. We've all been sheltered in place. We've all had good days and bad days, myself included. There's plenty of days where I just wanted to kick my feet up, right? Put the TV on and don't do anything. Like, we've all had it. There's no way around that. Like, you're human. But how do I now? So now I got to reflect on it and say, what behaviors do I need to change over these last 8 weeks? And I need to do it now, because anyone can start from now and write a whole new ending to this story. You get to write your story, but not if you just throw shit at the wall and hope it sticks. You got to get intentional. You've got to get inside yourself for the belief, so that we can change behavior, so that we can have results that we want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's just really easy to take the easy route, right? I mean,
we're trying to take the easy route, bud.
Yeah.
Our brain is always working that way. Our brain is always trying to find an easier way. That is human nature. We have to fight human nature every second, because our brain is trying to do that. That's what it's built for, to protect us, right? People understand a lot of times, even right now, and I'll use the word fear for a second to get people to understand this, but please understand the difference. Like, the fight or flight response, right? That's that part of our nervous system that's solely there to protect us. It's not to live in. Meaning, we sometimes overuse the word fear. That's not a true. I mean, the fear. Know the difference between fear and danger. Danger is real. Danger is real. You're out somewhere and, you were in the foxhole, or you're in the wilderness and there's a bear. Like, that's danger. Yes, that's when we want that system, that sympathetic nervous system, to kick in and save my life. But being fearful of picking up the phone and having a conversation or doing those kind of things, that's not real fear. It's not. Don't use fear there. Don't let that word dictate you, because it'll change because then my belief sucks, right? Because then I don't believe in myself, and then I don't do the behaviors that it's going to take to get me the results that I want.
I think it's really important to put things in perspective when we're doing our specific job and what we do every day. We're making phone calls, we're connecting with people, we're dealing with rejection. And it sucks. It's not fun. It's not something that I get up and say, oh, I can't wait to make a phone call and then someone hang up on me, right? But if you think about what we do compared to what other people are faced with every single day around the world, we kind of live in this bubble where we don't really know what else is, sometimes don't know what's going on out there, what other people are dealing with, and how other people wish to have our problems. And if my biggest challenge today is to get hung up on, like, that's a pretty cool problem to have,
Right.
And so for me, I deal with it because I'm big on prospecting and picking up the phone, calling people. And that's a question, or that's something that goes through my mind when I'm getting ready to do not only just picking up the phone and calling people, but sometimes even going on stage and talking in front of a big audience. Like, sometimes that could be a little nerve wracking. And so I just think about, okay, what I'm worried about, what I'm thinking right now, is that really something that I should be afraid of? Is it really a fear, like you said? Or is it something that's an amazing opportunity or an amazing thing that I'm getting ready to do, and just embrace it and just go forward, because there's other people out in the world that wish they had these problems, and they're dealing with real issues, like real serious issues. And so that kind of allows me to continue moving forward, because I'm thinking, who am I? Who am I to feel this way when others out there are really dealing with problems? And so from there, it just allows me to embrace what I'm doing and just completely take control and own it, and not worry about the result so much. More concerned with the action and the steps that I'm taking to get to where I want to go.
Yeah, buddy. I hope everybody heard that. That's the gold right there. You said two things that I want everybody to get, which is spot on, Kev, spot on. Is one, when I'm having those feelings and when I'm going through that, I have to reframe it. That's what, in Optimal Self, that's what we call it. We call it reframing, because I got to take that negative thought. I have to take that negative feeling. I have to take whatever's happening, and I have to reframe it. So here you are saying, look, I'm not feeling it today. I don't want to get hung up on. I really don't want to make these calls. But then when you reframed it into, man, look how lucky I am, how I get to have this opportunity to share my knowledge and expertise with people. Like somebody out there needs this. And today's the day that I'm going to go find that person. So you literally change. You're just reframing it in a way that allows you to move forward. And because it becomes your belief in what you're about to do. And we can reframe any portion of that, right? Dude, that is so good. And I hope people understand, like, think about that though, Kevin, as a muscle, right? We have to keep doing that. We have to keep, every time that happens, we got to reframe it and get a better thought. We have it again. We got to reframe it and get a better thought. It's a muscle. We've got to create it. We've got to keep working it over and over. That's how the mind works. And you getting to where you are today in business and in life, and the success that you've had, and the opportunities that you get to speak all over the world because of the expertise that you've built in the community. But that comes from you working that muscle over and over and over and over again, so that we can drop you on a stage somewhere and you can go, because you've built that, right? There's a confidence that you've built over time.
Yeah.
Reframing is something very important that I hope people understand right here. And it's not something that's simple, that's easy to do. You have to do it every single day. You've got to constantly be working that muscle.
You know, for me, what caused me to do that, I was never really like taught that. And I'm saying this because, like you're saying, you kind of have to make yourself do it. Right. For some.
For sure.
And that's great. And that's why you're here, because you're going to guide us and help us and show us how to do it. For me, what I did was I just looked for a reason, or I looked for a way to make myself feel better about the situation.
Yeah.
You know, like I kind of don't like this, but I have to do it. So let me make myself feel good about it. And how am I going to make myself feel good about it? By thinking, and this might be a weird, like morbid way of thinking, but it's like, because other people have it worse than me. So like, I can feel better about doing this thing that I don't want to do.
Right.
So two things with that is, we talk about in our world today a lot regarding comparing. It's so easy to compare with other people, right? And on Facebook and social media and everything, people are showing like the highlights, the amazing highlights of their life. And you see that, and it's like, you know, everyone's just amazingly happy and everything. So that part can bring you down big time. It brings everybody down, I think, in some way. If you want a certain thing, you see it, can't have it, other people have it, yeah, that sucks, right?
Yep.
But I think there's a way to compare in a way that is motivating and driving, and it allows me to grow and push harder. Like yesterday, we had an interview with Grant Cardone, who was on Real Closers yesterday. Grant Cardone.
Awesome. Yeah.
And
amazing.
And he was talking about like his life and what he's done and what he's accomplished. The guy, he was in sales. He was in the car business. Right. And now he's one of the biggest real estate investors in the world. And I was watching him, and I was starting to go down that comparison road, just being completely honest, okay? But it like pushed me. Like, I want to now go harder. I want to start looking at other things. And you and me are working on a business, lots of different things we're working on.
Sure. Yeah.
So like, for me, it's like the belief comes from seeing what other people are going through.
Totally.
And looking at it in a positive or a negative, but mainly trying to focus on those positive things and have those things drive me to go to where I want to go. Because if Grant Cardone can do it, I can do it too. He's a person. He's a
That's
person.
it.
He's a human being, right? If he can do it, I can do it too. And so those are things that I wish for anyone watching this to focus on those things. Like you see other people doing things. I try not like to feel envious or negative or jealous or whatever. And if you do, that's a natural feeling, but let it push you. Let it push you to go harder. And those are things that that help me. So, and it gives me that confidence and belief, because what's the worst that can happen? Like, I didn't have anything to begin with. So what am I really losing? So just these things, like you said, it's reframing and like just constantly talking and self-evaluating and giving yourself like an excuse to do what you know you're supposed to do. Going to the gym, playing baseball, swinging the bat, like whatever.
Yeah. So
that's what helps me out, man. I know
you're again. I mean, dude, you're spot on, because look, you're right. So comparison is bad, because and it can go both ways. You could look over here and you look at this person and you're like, at least I'm not that bad, right? And now I'm happy with where I am. And then what that does is it stunts my growth, because I'm not going to get any better, because I'm like, well, I'm better than them, so I'm good, right? And you can have bad comparison. That's you look over here and you look at Grant Cardone and you're like, holy shit, I'm a slacker, like on anything compared to what this dude is doing, right? Like, what? You know what I mean? And then to beat myself up because I'm not that good, or whatever those terms are. But I think it's a very important piece is not to look at it of what they have or what they're doing, or what, you know, what they have compared to what I don't have. It just simply shows that it's possible. And the moment, and that's what you just said, the moment I know it's possible, right? I mean, I can tell you, people ask me, I get this question all the time in one-on-one things and it usually comes from those like younger agents or younger business owners that are like, okay, Jeremy, you played Division I baseball, you were an all Pac-10 player, you went on to go to pro baseball, you started CrossFit, you went to the CrossFit games, like, and the question they get is several times is like, how did you know? And it hit me the first time I got that question, because I was like, how did I know what? How'd you know you were going to make it? And I said, oh, I never knew. I never even worried about that. That wasn't the goal. The goal was to be the best today that I could be. So getting my ass up and going to the gym because I wanted to compete at the CrossFit games one day, where they only take, 50 of the fittest people on earth, and there's going to be 300,000 people trying to get one of those 50 spots, is that what I thought was, there are 50 spots. Somebody's getting that spot. Why not me? If I put in the time, energy, and effort, right? Same thing. Go in the backyard and hit balls off that tee over and over and over and over, because I turned on the TV and I saw people doing it. And I was like, well, if that guy can do it, why not me? Mm-hmm. Just put in the energy. So the same thing goes right now. You see Grant Cardone, and he's got whatever the real estate numbers that he's doing today. He didn't do that today. I mean, that's built over the last 20 or 30 years probably. But I can tell you this, have the belief, do the same behaviors he does, and the results are inevitable. Yeah. You see, what people don't understand is that success is inevitable for you. It's inevitable if you have consistency to the action over time. Our problem in life today, because of social media, because of drive-through everything, because of Google and Alexa and call Amazon, and in 24 hours it's at your door, we need instant gratification. But guess what? True success is not instant gratification. You're not going to make calls today and have this $1 million real estate company tomorrow. That's not how it works. But consistency to that action over time will get you that success. Mm-hmm. It absolutely will. You just have to commit to it. And the same thing that you're saying is the beautiful thing and what makes you successful is that you're not looking at it going, oh, woe is me. You're saying, why not me?
Exactly.
If that person could do it, me too.
Well,
I just got to commit.
That's the main thing with when we're looking at our market. We want to break in. We want to, be the number one listing agent. We want to be the number one this or that, or we want to just be successful. The blueprint is there more than ever. It's available more than ever. I can call right now. I can just go on Google. I can go on. This is what I used to do. And anybody watching this, I recommend you do it too. I go on YouTube. I looked up, I used to watch Frank Pleasance, who's now on Real Closers. He's doing webinars and stuff. I used to watch him on keepingitreal.com. It's a very cool, ahead of its time webinars that they used to do like in 2007, 2008 on real estate stuff. And they bring guests on. Remember?
Yeah, I do.
I used to watch
legit.
it. Right? He's a great marketer. I used to watch it, and then they'd have these guests on. And then I'd watch the whole thing, their whole business model. They'd share everything. And it became to a point where I had so much knowledge. My problem was picking what to do. And that's a whole nother conversation, right? How do I know what to focus on? Because then we get scattered. That's my problem. I have that big time. But what I would do is I'd see who their guests are. And then I'd look them up. And then I would just call them. And I would just be like, hey, I saw you on this show or whatever. I saw you on the thing. What are you doing? It's really interesting. I would just have a conversation with them. And it was like crazy how willing they were to share with me what they did. And I would just pick up things. And it's so easy. My point is like the blueprint is so available. And the ability to get stuff done the information is so available to us. There's no reason. I'm sorry, but if you're not doing well, it's because of you. I'm really sorry. It's because you're not putting in the effort. You're not putting in the right amount of effort, or you're not doing, if you're not successful, then something's off because anyone can do it, honestly. Because I know, because I did it. And I'm not saying I'm anything. I'm still like building, growing. I still suck. I think of myself that I'm not good. And I think that's part of my driving factor. But it's so available to us that like, if it's not going well, just go pay a coach and pay them $1,000 or $5,000, $10,000, whatever, 500. I don't know. But you want to be successful, you just have to go find it. It's so easy though. Like it just, it's like.
I mean, so think about it, because you just said it, and the words that I use when we talk about this is resources, right? There's not a lack. It's not a lack of resources.
Right.
It's a lack of resourcefulness. You're not going to get
so good.
That's not right. There's no truth. Like the resources are literally at the touch of our fingers. It's not a lack of resources. It's a lack of resourcefulness, and you have to go get it. I said this 2 weeks ago when we talked about autonomy is, look, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save me. Nobody's coming to save you, right? I mean, they can, they're not. We've got to make this thing happen, man. We've got to be committed to ourselves so that, again, it goes back to the start, man. It's like, I do believe that if I put the time, energy, and effort into it, I believe I could learn and get the skills necessary to make whatever it is we need to make. I truly, truly believe that. And you know where that comes from is it comes from the years of doing that in other fields and other things, right? I wasn't the best baseball player. Man, I didn't make all-star teams as a kid. Like all my friends were the great players, man. Their dads were the coaches. These guys are hitting home runs. You know what I mean? And but I knew at a young age, right? I think I told this story before, but at 13 years old, I thought I was going to make this team, right? I thought I was going to be an all-star, and I didn't. And I asked the coach, who's also my best friend's dad, who, I go vacation with, and he looked me straight in the eye, Kevin. I said, why didn't I make it? And I was so sad and I was hurt. And he looked me straight in the eye. He said, because you weren't good enough. And I know that, as fathers, right? If someone said that to my kid, I know my mom was ready to like wring his neck.
I want to punch that guy right now.
Right. But do you know the paradigm shift in my life that he gave me? Because what he gave me was this. There's 85 kids in that league. there were 16 or 15 that made the all-star team. So there's another 70 that didn't make it. So I was the 16th best kid. There's 15 kids better. So what can I do though, right? That's the difference. How do I change that in the moment in my life? I called mom, I said, come pick me up. I was crying. I was in the car. She was like, I'm going in there to give him a piece. I said, no, mom, just go. And she said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to go to Big Five. Will you please buy me a tea? I'll never forget it. $17.99. I still have that tea today. You know why? It changed my life. It changed my life.
Wow. So listen, Jeremy. Oh, go ahead. Finish.
I just want to say that no one is going to you can build where no one will outwork you. There's going to be people taller, faster, stronger. There's going to be people that come from better houses, better places, drive a nicer car, whatever. But nobody will out-effort me. Nobody. Get on the treadmill next to me. Let's go. See who falls off first. Let's get into the room and let's see who's.
I have a feeling you're not gonna fall off if it's me and you.
I'm going, man. But that's what you learn, man. I hope people understand that is you all have that capability.
Right.
I'm different. I'm not special by any means.
I think what you're saying too is like you can't. There's only certain things you can control, certain things you can't control. You can control your effort though.
That's it.
I can control like what my effort will be today.
100%.
And then it's just a matter of refining it. But one thing that you mentioned, and I think there's a couple of reasons why I think sometimes we don't go to that extreme and push ourselves is the reason why to do it to begin with. Why am I doing it to begin with?
Okay.
For you, it sounds to me like it was that jerk, whoever that guy was. I'm sorry, dude. Like, no offense, but hey, it helped when he told you you're not good enough. Told a 13-year-old kid. It ended up working for you. That was your thing. That was what got you. So he ended up being a great person in your life. Like the result of what he said to you drove you to want
paradigm shift. Yeah. Right? Changed my life forever.
I would have done it that way myself to a kid, but he did. And now look, I mean, that's what got you going. So I think, thinking about why are we doing it to begin with, that is like something I can fall back on. And I know what it is for me after a long period of time. I didn't know. And now I know. And a lot of people also, I think we get caught up in our own head with fear. We're scared. We don't have the guts, quite frankly, to take the chance and spend the dollars or put in the time or whatever risk. That's the entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is going to put and have in exchange for the freedom that you're going to get from being an entrepreneur, it takes the risk and the fear that comes with that goal that you're trying to achieve, which is the freedom or whatever it is that you want. You're going to have to put up something to get to that point.
Gotta risk something.
They don't have it. They don't have the guts. Just face it yourself. And you listen, you know who I'm talking to. Okay? So you don't have the guts to do it. And I'm sorry, but you're going to have to step up if you want to make it happen. If you're afraid to get on the phone, get over it. Like, period. Or you're going to get passed by. I'm talking to Ruth Krishnan. She's watching, I think. She lived in like Missouri, middle of nowhere in the middle of the country. I know she's an amazing woman, incredibly successful. One day she just picked up, I'm going to San Francisco. 7 years later, she's the number 1, number 2 agent in the whole city. One of the top agents in the country. Out of nowhere, just decided, what kind of a risk is that?
Wow.
Left your whole life behind and went and did it. So and man, not a lot of people have that in them. But like you said, it's the...
No, I disagree. Everyone has it in them. Are you willing to unleash that beast? Are you willing to go to your edge of potential? Are you willing to be your optimal? Are you willing to be the best version of you? Or are you just going to play safe and sit on the sidelines? Because that's okay too.
Yeah, you can sit and watch me.
Just know that that's what you're getting because that's your choice. It comes back to choices, right? And Ruth decided, yeah, man, this is what I'm doing. I'm going. Let's go.
Yeah.
And what? Success is inevitable if you put in the time, energy, and effort. If you just keep going and you keep grinding and you keep pushing and you keep doing it. You said it earlier, and I hope people heard it, is you have to detach from the outcome. You can't be driven solely by the result, because again, it comes down to the process. It comes down to daily activity. If you can fall in love with the daily activity, whatever that is, and if you got to reframe it day to day, that's okay too. Just like you talked about for yourself, you can reframe it. Oh, you can reframe it every single day. Today I'm going this way. Today I'm going to do it for this reason. Today you can reframe it as much as you want. You just have to continue the daily activity. You just have to stay the course. You got to fall in love with the process and detach from the outcome. When you do that, because again, now I'm judging myself based on my effort that day, and I'm basing myself on the process. I'm not basing it on a result, because sometimes I can't control the result. You can't control the market. You and I don't control the market. You and I don't control interest rates. You and I don't have any control over any of that. For a minute there, we had no control over where we could go and what we could do, right? Outside of our houses. But what I can control is my effort here and what I can do now. And that's the part that you have to fall in love with. That's the part that you have to get. Again, I do believe you need a goal, right? You building your own companies and the things that you've done, you had to have a goal. You had to have something to shoot for. But it wasn't the end result. It was, what do I got to do today so that that's even possible?
Yeah. There's a book that you probably know, and if you guys haven't checked it out yet, it's a really, really great book. It's called Atomic Habits.
Oh my God.
I like
one of my favorite books on the earth.
it's fairly new too, right? It's
yeah.
like a couple years. It's really good. What it talks about, like, it's not about goals, it's about habits.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about your habits that you do every day. And he used an example, and I'm going to destroy this example, but I'm going to try. So he's like, think of a pilot who's taking a trip on a plane from LA to New York, and you have the flight plan, and you're supposed to go in a straight line. But let's say it's off by like 0.1% or something, and it's off going off one side. And those are the habits, the small little over a cumulative period of time, you don't really notice that you're off the path. But before you know it, you're getting to your destination. You're not in New York, you're in Washington, D.C.
Right.
So if you're off that plan, you can end up in the wrong place. But the point is, it's really about those accumulative small steps every day and getting in that same process. For me, I never really had a challenge in getting up and going and doing, because for me, it was more about running away from where I was before in terms of where I grew up and all that.
Sure.
Not having things and stuff like that. That was more for me. It was like, I'm out of here. I'm getting out. So that was the driver for me.
Right.
And to some extent it still is, but that's like where we're talking about, like having a reason. What's your purpose of doing what you do every day? That will drive you to take those measures and create those habits to get you to the result. Because if you don't have those day-to-day things, you know it better than anyone, man. Like, look at you. You're a fucking beast. You work out every day. You work out every day, right? Every single day. And you're not like this, right? So that's the point. And yeah.
So I think to give people, again, the context of what you're saying and how do they implement that into their lives, is the things that you are doing on a daily basis, the things that you are going to do have to be measurable. You've got to track it, right? So if it is phone calls or whatever your thing is, it still has to be measurable, because you have to be able to. So in order for us to use that same example, right? If it's 1/10 off, you end up, by the time you get to your destination, right? Again, you're so far off because I don't notice the 10th off.
Right.
We have to do is on a daily basis is, again, or at least a weekly basis, is be assessing what's happening, right? We have to constantly assess and reassess what we're doing so that we know when that 10th is off, oh, I got to hit it back over, right? Because now it looks like it's perfect, but I just came up and again, what he talks about is now I got a headwind and now the wind is pushing me this way. But I still think it's good, but now I got to adjust for the wind to get back on here. And so I have to constantly reassessing. I have to constantly be looking at my data and tracking what I'm doing so that and here's the other reason, so that it is scalable when it's time. Because again, to make $100,000 takes a certain effort, takes a certain amount of contacts, takes a certain amount of appointments, takes a certain amount of closings. To make 200, 300, 400, $500,000, again, if I know where my business is and I know what I'm doing, I can scale it accordingly. I do the same thing with my workouts. I have every single workout written down from years ago. I know exactly what I did. And when I'm not feeling good or I'm not feeling how I want to feel, or it's not happening, it's very easy for me to look and go, well, shoot, I missed that day for, this thing, and I did this. This day I only did this. I can go back and look at it. Same thing for my business. My businesses, I can see right now. We track it because of COVID. Do you know that I have 2 meetings every single morning, one at 8:30 and one at 9, 2 different staffs, 2 different people, that we go over every single number right now. I know how many listings we took. I know how many closings are. I know how many pendings we have. I know every contract written. I know every single thing every single day. Every day. Not sometimes, not when I feel like it. Every single day. I ask people out there right now, are you looking at it? Because again, it goes back. We started this conversation, Kev, with the word behavior, and I love where you went with it because the behavior becomes our habit. So behavior is interchangeable with habit. So again, My belief drives my behavior, which creates the habit. My habits create my results. And that's what James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits, and that's what you're saying now. You've built a certain level of habits. And those of you that think you don't have habits or you don't have a system, you do. It's not very good. And you don't, that's the truth. You have it, right? So, I want people to get something out of today, and please, reflection is the key. Go back to whatever day your shelter in place started, pick that date and look at today and say, what has transpired for me, my life, my business? And now let's take that moment and say, what would I do different if I could go back and change that? Mm-hmm. And don't just say it, write it, take it, and implement it. Because here's the thing. I'll give you these 3. We have to learn, grow, and apply. And here's what that means. We have to learn the new way. We have to learn the content. Just like you said, what did you do? When you needed something, where did you go? I went to YouTube. I watched the videos. I was learning the content. I called the people. I took in what they gave me, right? I was learning. That was the learning aspect for you. Mm-hmm. And then you have to grow. What you have to do is you have to take that content and you have to grow your skills. Your skills in your profession have to get better. Whether that's a conversation, whether that's if you're a content writer, whether that's your videos that you're doing, whatever. We grow the skills. And then the final one is apply those skills. Learn the content, grow your skills, apply those skills to your life and business.
Love it. I wrote that down, posting it.
Beautiful.
All right. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, Jeremy.
Jeremy Herider, you can email me, jeremyherider@gmail.com. Go to Optimal Self on Facebook, optimal_self on Instagram. You can direct message me there. You can find me in both those places. I'm on there every single day. Every day at between 4:30 and 5 Pacific time, California time, we do an Optimal Self live. So it's just about a 5 to 7 minute quick little hitter conversation. And we're always open for people. I'd love to see you guys. If there's something I can help with, I say this every time on every podcast and every show I'm on is look, that's what wakes me up every day. My mission in life is this. My mission is to inspire and help others change behavior through belief and action to be the best version of themselves. So if I can help in some way, I'm there, man.
Right on, man. That was great. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Until
Thank you,
next
guys.
time.
Yeah,
take care.
For sure.
All right.
Thanks, brother.
All right, bro.